Hello, I'm Vinny the plumber. I'm from Saugus, Massachusetts, and this here is my boiler room. I'm also a licensed master plumber in the state of Massachusetts. Here's my boiler. It's a Buderus Lagano G215 6-section boiler with the Log-O-Matic controller on top, which regulates the boiler water temperature by sensing the outside air temperature and the indoor air temperature. And as you look over here, you'll notice that I have some radiant heat mixing valves. I have two different styles. This style here is for the wood floors, and this style over here is for the masonry poured concrete floor. If you notice, all three of these circulators have a circle on the end of them that says IFC. That stands for internal flow check, and this means that there is no external flow check needed to stop the heat migration. That feature is included in the pump itself. Older systems, which we still use today, have a separate circulator and a separate flow check. But this is the way the industry is heading towards combining the flow check and the circulator all in one. This boiler is a 7-zone boiler. 6 of the zones are for heating throughout the home, and 1 zone is for heating the domestic hot water, which heats this water in this tank basically, and that's our showering water and for the tubs and domestic water, as we call it. This here is the expansion tank. When you heat the water, the molecules expand. They need somewhere to go. If they didn't have somewhere to go, the system would build up pressure and blow the pressure relief valve. This allows the water to expand without building up pressure. Inside is a diaphragm that's pre-charged. Entering into the boiler water comes in through the supply pipe, has a valve to shut it off, and we have the backflow preventer, which prevents the contamination of our domestic water, which is also our drinking water, from ever getting contaminated from the boiler water, which is in here, which you wouldn't want to drink. It's probably not enough to kill you, but there are some systems that you wouldn't want your boiler water mixed in with your domestic water. So to avoid that from ever being able to happen, we have a backflow preventer. Now the pressure on this side is roughly 60 to 80 pounds in this area, and this right here is a pressure regulating valve which takes that city pressure of 60 to 80 pounds and drops it to 12 to 15 pounds. And this is adjustable by adjusting the little screw setting inside the top of this. This also has a fast fill feature, which if you flip this up, would allow more water to enter the boiler. This oil line actually runs uphill, and it's a single pipe system. You can't always do this, but when it's a short run, you can. So that orange pipe right there that runs right across and down is actually the oil line for the boiler. The best way, because this is right next to the boiler, the best way to run the oil line would be to excavate the floor and run the oil line into the concrete and back to the boiler, but that is an incredible amount of work when just running it up and over is a lot easier. Doing it this way makes the fuel pump work a little harder, but it works just the same, and you don't have to bust up the concrete. We're connected to an existing older oil tank, so we have 2 filters. One is sort of a coarse filter, the other one's a fine filter, and that helps filter the oil line. This is the water main where it comes in from the street, goes through the meter so that they know how much to charge us. Here's a low point drain if we ever needed to shut and drain the system, all we'd have to do is shut that ball valve off and drain it from here. I also have added a filtration system for the house, and I also added some gauges. It's not a requirement, but it's just being a plumber. That's just something I like to do. So right now we're at roughly about 70 pounds, 66 pounds or so, and this is a bypass. So if ever this filter should clog, all I have to do is shut this valve and open that bypass, and the water will continue through the house. There's been a couple of times when they've worked on the street and instantly clogged this filter totally, so we had to run the bypass until I changed the filter. Also, when the filter needs to be changed so there's no interruption of service, we also open the bypass and shut those two valves off, replace the filter, and then put everything back to normal when we're done. That's how we change the filter without interrupting the service. But even then, if we had to shut it off, it's only a 2-minute process to change the filter, so even if the water was off, it's not that big a deal. Over here we have the back side of that water heater, which is indirect fired, and we keep that temperature inside there at 140 degrees and then cut the water temperature down through this mixing valve down to 120. This allows us to have virtually an unlimited amount of hot water because it tempers down the 140 down to 120, and we've never run out of hot water, and we have a large 2-person jacuzzi and also a single jacuzzi, standard size with a 5-foot tub. So this allows us to have virtually unlimited hot water. That concludes the tour of my boiler room. Hope to see you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hope you learned something.